It's been said that the only thing the late, great Harry Houdini couldn't escape from was his own death. I love a trick that starts with an engaging and powerful line of script. To me, it's extremely important. So often we lose audiences with a joke, with a trick, whatever you're doing in a live presentation, public speaking, in the transitions. When you go from one thing to another, when you're in a thing, people are engaged, they're interested where it's going to go and all that stuff. But it's the transition. So when, in ending a trick, there's a dramatic moment. But how do you begin the next trick? And that line, even a shorter version, even just saying, do you know that Harry Houdini is still one of the world's most famous magicians, even though he died, almost 100 years ago? These are the kinds of lines that immediately pull people in, that immediately get them to care about the magic. Because you and I know a whole bunch of sleights and tricks and things like that, but you've probably found in performance that it's not always easy to get people to care about the cool trick or the magic moment, even though it looks great and you've practiced hard and you do it beautifully or whatever else. So that's one of the strengths to me right off the bat of this particular trick of mine, Houdini's Ghost. I've been fascinating personally with Houdini for many, many years, and in fact, the photograph of Houdini in chains that's included in with this cool transposition effect is the very first photo I ever saw of Houdini many years ago. And he's sort of been a myth, a legend to me ever since. So I knew years ago even that it was just a matter of time before I did a trick not only involving Houdini, the theme of Houdini, but even that photograph. So I'm so thrilled to finally be releasing Houdini's Ghost and sharing it with you. Thank you so much for your interest in this trick. I think you're going to get a lot of mileage, a lot of fun out of it. It is a simple trick, and by that I mean it is direct, it is clear, it is focused. The presentation is simple and engaging. The effect itself, two things transposing, while even spectator even holds onto one tightly in their own hand, is a clear, dramatic, powerful, and unforgettable magic trick. The trick is also simple in its methodology. You're going to see that the method is very simple and very flexible, whether you're working for family and friends, or you're at school, or at the bar, or at work, wherever you are, this sucker flows. It's simple. You're way ahead. The work is done way ahead, which I always love. So you can always focus on the presentation and bringing the magic to life. This trick, Houdini's Ghost, is based on the transposition idea itself, is based on something I read in Stars of Magic many, many years ago. It was a two-bill transposition. However, and Eugene Berger also was famous for performing a version of that trick. However, over the years, things change, and one of the things that's changed is that now dollar bills more and more, of course, are being produced all over the world in plastic, sort of vinyl and plastic versions of so the paper doesn't fold anywhere near as cleanly or as neatly, and the original trick involved a transposition of two bills, American bills, that looked almost identical. A 20 and a 5, or a 1 and a 5. Apart from the index and the corner, the bills were pretty much identical. So there wasn't the visual appeal or the visual boom moment that I really wanted. So I'm thrilled to be able to share this with you. You'll see we go from Houdini's face to, the stones on his gravestone, which is so dramatic and cool. Anyway, I'm going to jump right in here and we'll talk about the enclosed gimmicks and the handling and all that stuff right here and right now. R.I.P. Harry Houdini. This trick includes 3 very cool and very special photographs, okay? 2 of the photographs are Harry Houdini's actual gravestone, which I think is so cool with the stones on it and everything. And the other photograph, as I mentioned, is Harry Houdini in chains. And you'll see that the text that's on the back of these is it reads and looks exactly like a Houdini magazine article. Okay, and it took me a while to get these to make sure that the text was going the right way and the writing style was all good. And notice that even in showing you these 2, people would swear you've seen front and back of everything, but I've actually concealed the gimmick. Now, I wanted to do that just off the top here. Nobody is looking for the gimmick, and both of these will be examined before the trick starts. So that's very important to remember. But I also, in handling these casually and covering this with my fingertips, I wanted you to see firsthand just how, you don't want to be doing this and this, okay, one finger, but just how above suspicion they both really are. And that's what I love about this trick. Another thing is it's not a card trick and it's not a coin trick, and there's so many things you can take out of your pocket that people will be immediately suspicious of. But a couple of photos from a magician carrying around a couple of photos cut from a Harry Houdini magazine article is completely above suspicion. No one would even think to themselves, oh, maybe they're trick slips from a magazine. Doesn't even make sense. So keep that very much in mind. Now, to prepare these for this wonderful illusion, you're going to start by taking the one with the Harry Houdini in the corner, okay? And you're going to fold them all, going to fold it lengthwise in half down the length of the bill, okay? You fold it, give it a nice firm crease, and make sure you really want these to last a long time and be very, very clean in the handling and all that. So, do not press down firmly on this fold until you're absolutely sure it's exactly in half, right? Okay. And then I'm going to fold this in half, and it really doesn't matter whether you fold it in this way for starters, or you fold it in this way for starters. But where you're going with this, just now, you can either take each of the halves now and fold them into quarters, or you could take this whole thing now and just fold it in quarters this way, I guess. Is quarters right? I think that's right. Go like that. And then fold this up. And you'll find that this, and again, it took me a while to get this perfect, but this is now perfectly folded, okay? Nice and crisp, and it'll keep this crease for a long, long time, okay? You're then going to take the other two bills, okay, and these are going to be the ones that are actually examined first off, okay? The totally ungimmicked, no special photograph Houdini's grave, and the Harry Houdini in chains. You're going to do the exact same folding with these other two bills as well, or these other two slips of paper, I should say. After you've folded all the bills in halves and quarters and eighths, what you should have is the gravestone one all folded up and ready to go, okay? You're going to have a Harry Houdini in chains all folded up and ready to go. And then you're going to have the what we're going to call the gimmicked one all folded up and ready to go. And the way I've got it folded, I want you to see this, is I've got it folded in halves and in quarters. And so I've got this, and then I fold that in half one more time. Okay, so that is my setup. Now I'm going to switch. I'm going to be switching, okay? The stoned, the graveyard one, I'm going to be switching that one in for this one in a very cool way. But for now, I want you to take this specially gimmicked one, okay, and I want you to put it in your right pants pocket with Harry facing in, okay? Harry's going to be facing in. Now, to start, first thing I'll say, something about Harry Houdini, or died almost 100 years ago, people are fascinated, etc., etc. And I take out the gravestone, and I hand this to people, and I say, this is an actual photograph of Houdini's, and I draw attention to the stones that fans have left, little keepsakes, mementos, and someone put a note, or is it a playing card maybe, underneath there, a photograph, and I hand it out, and people always want to examine this very closely. After they examine that, I ask them to fold it back up, and I find when they fold it back up, and I don't say to them, examine this carefully. I say, take a look at this. I say, kind of an interesting story in the back, you can't read it all, and I give them reason to look at it carefully without saying examine it. Then I take this back, okay, and I say, actually, I also have one of the most famous photos of Houdini that was ever taken. And as I say that, I apparently go to my right hand, I look for the photo, I don't find it, I put this in that right hand, I go into this pocket, and I find the photo, all right? The most natural thing in the world, and this is called crossing the gaze switch, G-A-Z-E, because you're sort of changing focus, okay? You're going to put your right hand in your pocket, you're going to grab the gimmick here, okay? And you're just going to do David Roth's shuttle pass, okay? Which is just holding this in finger palm as you pretend to take it from one hand to the other. One hand to the other. All I'm doing from here, this is the only sleight in the entire routine. It's a false transfer, often used to switch coins even. And you might feel more comfortable if you hold this folded rather than, like in that position, in a side position or even in a front position like this, so you can keep it even tidier. Okay? But the motivation, like I said, they've just examined this. They fold this back up. You mentioned you have another photograph in your pocket, okay? But the motivation's this again. You know, actually, I have a photograph of where is it? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Harry down here, and you bring this up, boom, like this, and hand this to them as well. So it's just a simple shuttle, boom, go into your pocket. And remember, you're not actually performing a trick at this point. You're just saying, I've got some cool photos. They examined this one a second ago. They're convinced. Then will you hold on to this at your fingertips and really very fairly and cleanly? Everyone's convinced this is the one that was just folded up and examined. Now someone examines Harry Houdini, and it's such a dramatic image, okay? And again, I say take a close look at that. Isn't that a wild photo? I mean, obviously this is the days before people got to the gym, or you know, good luck trying to get out of all that stuff. And so people again examine this without actually you asking them to examine it as such. This gets folded up. Again, have somebody fold it up, okay? And it doesn't matter. Don't sweat it which way they happen to fold it up, showing the knees or the face, whatever. It doesn't matter. You have the two. Both of these have just been closely examined by people. They're convinced they've examined both, so there's no heat. You're done. I love that, okay? Next, you're going to take both, okay? Put them in someone's hand, right like this. And it doesn't matter whether you put your gimmicked one on top, here, or on bottom. You just have to remember which one it is. Let's assume we put it on top. Okay? Put it in someone's hand. They hold their hand. Have them gently hold on and turn over their fists. You say, I'm going to reach inside and grab one here. Which one do I got? Oh, I got Harry here. Well, let's see. Harry was famous for escaping things. Let's see, not only escaping from, but escape to. Let's see if we can do it. So this, of course, is the specially printed double-sider. Okay, but in the action of putting the two, clearly the two that have just been examined, in their hand, they turn over their hand. You could talk, if you're worried about them remembering which one is on top and bottom, you're crazy. People don't, okay? But if you're worried at all, you can talk for a minute, put a bit of time lapse there, then reach inside, and I know I'm going to grab the lowest one in their hand, pull it out and say, which one do I got? I got Harry. Okay, hold on. And at this point, also, I have them put the second hand on, or have somebody else hold. A few people holding to make sure I cannot get near, as I say, don't let me get near his gravestone. Now, we're going to do, you got three choices of visual changes, okay? One is to simply take this, put it in your hand, okay? At the then, and as you close it, it automatically turns over. So when you open it like this, boom, like that, and you can immediately see both here and here, it's the gravestone. So that's a very pretty change. They examined this. They examined the other. Your hands were empty. Just by closing it and opening, they see this impossible change. So that's one way. Okay. Another way to do it is the same technique, but actually using a little bit of thumb action here. So what I can do is, rather than here and turning it over, I can put it squarely on my hand, okay? Close my fist around it, turn my fist over, and now with my thumb, I'm going to turn it over as I kind of squeeze and then open the hand to show. What that means is, rather than here and turn, I can just put it on the palm, close my hand, turn my hand over, give a little squeeze and open it, and they see the change. Okay, so that's a variation on that. The second version you can do is more complicated, but it has the virtue of being able to show both sides after the change. To do that one, looks like this. I can, I'm here, got Harry Houdini here, just to squeeze my hand like this, boom, like that, and now I can show you it's changed just like that. Now I have the gravestone. If I have the gravestone, open your hand, and all focus goes over there. Okay, so that's another way to do this. And this is a hand I came up with originally many years ago for the original Bill idea. Here's what I'm doing. I'm here, and as I turn my hand over, I'm letting it open on itself, putting my thumb in the fold, and using the tips to push in and to complete the complete. So I fold it inside out in a sense. It is a little, it'll take practice, but once you get it smooth, it just takes a second, and boy, it looks good. Okay, you can show both sides, which is nice. But I think my favorite change is to use Marlowe's in lieu of Vernon's push through the fist move. I mean, it looks so good, right? You could have someone look Harry right in the eye, and just a shake, and the changes. Boom, immediately to the gravestone. I love that, I love that. And so there I'm here, and I'm going to push, I'm going to pull with the tip of the right finger and push with the tip of the left finger, and the whole thing completes in my hand, okay? And what you want, the goal you want, is for the finger position, finger, thumb, and finger here, to look identical after you're done. Okay? Really magical. And so again, I'm doing And you're doing, and you know, you don't want to have a huge gesture. It's a little big, but I mean, certainly large enough to conceal the action, right? You go up and down, you can go in circles. Watch carefully, you know, but perfectly. Here we go. Going in circles here. You say, keep an eye on Houdini. Watch, you'll see it actually. You saw it happen, boom, like that. I mean, so magical. So those are the 3 different ways that you can cause the change. Now, all focus is immediately after you've had it change from this to this, okay, and you're there. Now, here's what I do. I open this up, okay, and you open it up, and I finish opening it up, and then I turn it over, okay? So, as I open it up, I'm going to hide this with my fingers. It's at the back. Okay, it's at the back here when I start to open it up. It's here, it's at the back, and rather than at the very, you know, I don't want to open up text, okay, then finish by covering the corner and showing it. I would rather show this side first and have the cleanliness of being able to finish like that, okay? Now you'll play around with this and get your own flow. So all I do typically though is you open this up, my fingers come in, I'm going to cover right here, I'm going to come in here, open it up just like this. I'm opening it up, covering it with my fingers. Open it up here and say that. But if I now have, and notice, you don't necessarily go like that. I like the left fingers to also maybe show a bit more, but mostly they mirror each other, and that's an important principle here. But if I have the gravestone, boom, like this, and then I start to fold this back up, if I have the gravestone, open your hand. All focus is there. All I do with this is I take this, and I'm going to slip it, you know, people don't really remember which pocket things are, but I take this and I immediately slip it back down into the pocket with the other one. And typically what I'll even do is I'll say, go ahead, look in your pocket, and I'll move both hands to my pockets and I'll strike a rest pose there. All focus is there. And while my hands are at rest, I'm not trying to do anything suspicious. My hands are my pockets. I'm relaxing, okay? But then as they start to open that, my hand comes back out, and I casually, I don't do this, but I very casually put down on the surface of the table, I switch back out, this one. So they open this one, and people are freaking out. I mean, they just saw Harry Houdini at your fingertips. They saw the change. When they open their hand and find Harry's now in their hand, it's crazy. Now, do people want to examine this one again? I find almost never. And that's what's great about doing the switch early on. When you do the switch at the beginning, they've looked at one, you do the switch, and you know, this transfer is one way to do it, but you could even take this. I've done it, where you take this and you know, you say, where's the other one? And both hands can even go into your pockets, okay? Both hands, you're looking for, this was just examined, both hands go into your pocket. Where's Harry? Oh, here is Harry here, and you take that one out and hand it to them. And the other hand's actually just did a switch in the pocket, okay? Because you're not saying, I'm going to find your selected card, or look, there's no, a coin just vanished, I'm going to stick my hands in my pockets. You're just going to your pockets to share some couple of cool photos that you keep. No surprise, you're a magician, you keep these. So don't sweat the switch, but do it early on, and at that point they totally trust them, and it's super rare, I find, that people ever want to look at the gravestone again. One last very cool thing I wanted to share with you is sometimes I'll draw attention to the gravestone, and I'll draw attention to the fact that they'll see, of course, all these stones on here. And I'll say, you know, but being a magician, I should be able to pull one of the stones right out of the photo. Now this might seem here, me videotaping this, just like some sort of weird little moment of magic, but it actually gets a great reaction, plays very, very well. And all I've got is a stone. You could have it a little bit bigger or smaller, whatever, but it's a pretty flat stone. And after this trick, after you've done the transpo, maybe you've left everything on the table, people are going, I can't believe it, they're looking at the photos again. It's so easy to slip your hands in your pockets there, okay? Put your hands in your pockets, they're looking at everything, and all I have is this in my pocket, okay? So I bring my hands out, and I say, you know, the thing that really amazes me is these stones. I mean, the fact that people actually, so many fans, they actually leave these little moments of encounter with you know, I guess their hero, Harry Houdini. And I draw attention to those. And I've just got this in my right hand now. And there's a couple of different ways you can do this, of course. One way is you can draw attention here, turn it over and put it on the right hand, and you know, you can even show your hands empty if you want. The stone's right there. Kind of fold this up into a little bit of a tube, have someone hold their hand, and then roll out one of the stones in their hand. I mean, I've got screams with that. It just looks, your hands look so fair, and yet this whole eerie idea of the ghost of Harry Houdini and his gravestone, okay? So, and of course, they don't know how many, I mean, just this idea that it was one of the stones is very cool. A slightly more visual version is to hold this between the first two fingers of the left hand and the thumb and middle finger. So it's these two and these two, okay? And that'll hold it nicely, and you've got this underneath here. And just between thumb and finger, I mean, you can it looks so much like you pulled a stone. Now, again, if I'm not saying that they swear it came right out of the photo, but the visual of this, of being able to show it very fairly, and then the visual of being able to pull this stone right out and hand it to somebody, especially since they just examined. You know, it's not something I wouldn't go up to someone and say, hey, look, this is Harry Houdini's gravestone, watch, and then pull a stone from it. I think it only works best after you've done this crazy transpo in their hand, where they examined everything, your hands are empty the entire time, looks so fair, every magic moment looks fair. Then as a kicker, as almost a throwaway trick, you produce this stone, okay, as a little boom on top of that. And I think it's a great way to, you know, bring the myth and the fascination people have with Harry Houdini, and in a sense to bring a small piece from the mere photograph of the grave to now something is actual, an actual three-dimensional kind of item from the overall experience. And of course, since stones are free, ideally, then you can leave that on the table as a souvenir, really, you know, from Houdini's grave, this stone. I think a very cool and haunting souvenir as well.